And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from the Lakers Fast Break Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, as well, Inside Sports, Fantasy Football. Got an episode for audio listeners coming out for both those channels coming up overnight. So go ahead and check it out when they pop down there, talking about the playoffs coming up for this weekend. So go ahead and definitely check it out. But wanted to give a big shout out as well to Legend 350 is right next to me here. He's got I Got Next Sports Media. Please go ahead and check out I Got Next Sports Media wherever you get your podcasts, and his YouTube channel, which I've got in the description below coming up as well. Also as well, Joe Soro. Don't forget his game. Of course, Corrupt, Coreupt on Twitter. Steam. Don't forget, speaking of Twitter, Stone Hansen. Yes, Stone Hansen, Alfred Esmond. Don't forget those guys. Plus our good friends, the Lakerholics crew. Also as well, Lakers in 5, Empire Jeff TV. So many people that are in the Southern California area, I know, want to reach out to you and just tell you, I hope you're okay. Hope everyone is okay with the devastating fires. I know that's been very destructive. A lot of people have been adversely affected. Please know our thoughts are with you. I even know it's affected us here in Vegas. I know that there's been varying reports of fuel lines being possibly being shut down. So people have made a mass run on certain supplies and fuel here in this area. So it's affecting people all along the West Coast, and our thoughts and prayers are most definitely towards the people that are, really on the front lines being affected by this. Our thoughts are with you indeed. But did want to mention, if you haven't heard already, reason why we're on right now is because the Lakers-Charlotte game has been canceled. Oh, by the way, Joe, shut up, Joe. Anyways, yes, the game has been canceled. I do want to go ahead and mention that they have not put a date yet as far as when they're going to reschedule it to. The football game that was coming up this weekend with the Vikings and Rams has also been moved to Arizona. Nothing's been laid yet in regards to future LA Kings games or the Lakers games against the San Antonio Spurs. But once they do, please check us out on Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. So yes, very devastating news to hear about the communities. I know it's adversely affecting the LA sports area and LA sports world, but most importantly, it's unfortunately affecting thousands and thousands of residents of the Southern California area I have, was part of for 25 years. Here today to discuss what's going on with the NBA. Good man indeed. It is, of course, Legend. Great to have you back on the show, my friend. I know the LA Kings are on the road, but in case anything happens, we will go ahead on that tomorrow. As far as the Lakers are concerned, excuse me, the Kings, they had a home game that was canceled, so they haven't talked about the NHL yet about what date as far as they postponed or rescheduled their game. For us on the Lakers side, we'll find out as soon as we can, and when we do so, we'll let you know indeed. But Corbina, there's no value to that, Corbina. That's just another rumor of Bruce Brown, $23 million. Corbina, you've got to look at the variables when you look at these farce trades. Please, prayers. One thing I will say is credit to you, prayers for Southern California, absolutely, but there's no rumors. Those are false rumors. Bruce Brown is $23 million. Gabe Vincent is $10 million. Do the math. It doesn't work. So we'll leave it at that. The guy who's played only a couple games with the Toronto Raptors, and Gabe Vincent, who a team would have to pay for another year on his salary. He's averaging 3 points a game. Yeah, indeed. But they're saying LA wants to shed salary.
I don't know where you get that one from.
So Bruce Brown is $23 million this year. It's 10 million this year. Correct me if I'm wrong. Where are the Lakers shedding salary in this operation? I mean, I know math wasn't my major in college, but also if think about it as well, Kabina, his next year is 10. Combined, his 10 million this year, 10 million next year still doesn't equate to the 23 million he's that Bruce Brown is owed this year. So yeah, that's yeah,
Yeah.
Rui, Gabe and Rui. Yeah, that's not good.
Not the move.
Yeah, not to move it deep, but Legend, let me bring you on in here again. You are very familiar with something like this that happened to you last year and how it adversely affected you with the hurricanes and whatnot and such devastation in and around in areas that you are familiar with and how uh, you know frightening it can certainly be. How it not only held up as far as your communities, but also you're the sports world in your area as well.
First, I want to say hearts and prayers to everyone in California going through the hard time, and prayer for everyone. Hope everyone's doing okay out there. I got a friend I know too from Georgia who lives out there. Need to check on her, make sure she's okay. And it's definitely rough going through a situation like that, especially with the gas part. I know when the hurricane came through Florida, then came through my state of Georgia, we was like messed up for like a week, and trying to find food, gas, it was like a struggle. It
Yeah.
was like every man for himself out there, pretty much. Lines for gas. Might have been lucky you found a grocery store that still got some frozen food left. It was a struggle with that hurricane. It tore right through Georgia and Florida.
It was devastating there. This is no less devastating here. Uh, just these winds definitely being the key factor in all this as far as the fire is concerned. I mean, people throwing around stuff that's for other people to talk about. I just know, and I've seen, and I've been living in LA for 25 years or in the LA area for 25 years. You just, when you have high winds like that, there's a lot of risk going on as far as that. And unfortunately, this is the worst case scenario. And this is worse than any fire that I was ever a part of when I was living there. So my thoughts and prayers as well to those affected adversely by this. But the Lakers, again, canceled tonight as far as they're postponed with the Charlotte Hornets. They have not yet talked about a rescheduled date, but when they do, we will go ahead and let you know. Again, still as far as the games coming up against San Antonio, we'll find out what's going on with those as it comes about. And then, of course, also as well, the Rams game has been moved to Arizona as well. Is your place going to host? No, Quabina. It's not been mentioned as of yet. They're more than welcome to. I was wondering why they didn't show Allegiant Stadium for the Rams game. I'm still at a loss why, because it's closer in proximity. But if need be, the T-Mobile Arena is. I'm sure it's. I don't know. I'd have to look at the schedule to see if it's booked, but I think you could probably work out something logistically for that. Or even if you want to go down south to San Diego, you can go down to San Diego Arena. There's several arenas that are not affected by what's going on if they ultimately want to go ahead and do so. They played in Palm Springs during the preseason. Bakersfield. There's other arenas. Anaheim. You could go to Anaheim as far as the pond is concerned. So Legend, I know like in your area where it's just like everything became a standstill because it was through a multi-state process. In LA, if they really want to get things up on the ground, they do not want to put it in downtown LA. There's at least other options like Las Vegas, like Arizona, um, but also for an arena, not even a stadium. You don't, if this is just an arena as far as that point, you just don't have to go that far in order to go ahead to have it still somewhere in the Southern California area.
True that they should have a lot of other options just to still move people for safety wise. I know for us in our state when we had the hurricane coming through, a lot of people, especially from Florida, did come to Georgia, even though we still got hit with it. Not nearly as bad as Florida, but still had a lot of people coming to our state, and a lot of people went from our state toward like Alabama and all the next door states that was didn't really get hit by it, but still felt like win wise, but nothing like the rest of our state. So,
Yep, absolutely. And Joe, if they play at your house, remember you're right down the street from Pachanga. So yeah, I mean they played it at and at Pachanga Casino. So there you go. It's right down the street from your house. I'm sure you'll be glad to go ahead and open up your doors right there. Just get those basketball courts moved up and ready. Yeah, I heard you can get a good deal at Dick's Sporting Goods there, or try Target. There you go. Get a couple baskets, and there you go. JSJ said they should play in the Toyota Arena in Ontario. All great suggestions, except for Joe's. So yeah, absolutely. I personally would say the Pond. That would be me. But if you want to just keep it within a general area that's not affected by the fires, because Orange County is far enough away from LA County, but still within proximity as far as on the freeway for people to get to, they wanted to go ahead and do that as well. So, I'll slap yours right back, Joe. I'll slap yours right back. The man's always talking violence. He's always talking violence, even in the chat. And he's just such an aggressive person. It's Joe. What are you going to say? But once again, it is the Lakers fast break. I do want to mention again that the Lakers have postponed their game today against Charlotte. No rescheduled date has been offered up by the NBA. I'm sure they're evaluating things. Again, nothing has been mentioned about the upcoming San Antonio game, so we will see. But Legend, I wanted to ask you this. Yesterday was a very, very highly anticipated game with Cleveland and also as well, of course, Oklahoma City. Turned out to be much different than I thought it would be. 129 to 122 was the final score. I know you got a chance to check out some of the stuff as far as went on in that game. What are your evaluations? I know that Cleveland, a lot of people were not fully on the fence, or were not fully in their court. They were kind of on the fence on how exactly they perceived Cleveland to be as a top team in the NBA. Do you think this might have shed some light as far as just how good Cleveland can be in this season?
I think it definitely showed the world that this team is for real, and that record is not a mirage of anything. I think people are going to really start paying attention more to what Cleveland can do. I mean, they won that game even when Donovan Mitchell didn't really play that well, and I thought that was pretty impressive. I know the Thunder was still missing Chet, Caruso, but still one of your top players didn't play well, and he still came out of there with a victory. So I thought that's pretty impressive. And to beat Oklahoma, who's I think still leading in the West right now too, I thought it was pretty impressive. The one thing I really want to see from that Cleveland team, I want them to play Boston one more time. I want to see how they do against Boston one more shot, because I do think, and it's probably still early to make this prediction, but I'm thinking Cleveland and Boston might be the Eastern Conference Finals. That might be it this year.
I don't think that's yeah. It doesn't look like too much of a stretch unless New York's such a hard team to figure out, because a team with what you thought on paper would be so many good defenders, with Anunoby, with Bridges, they're more offensively oriented, and I don't know how long it's going to be it's going to last, because Tibbs is doing good stuff, running them to the ground again, trying to get them to the finish line. And I don't know, exactly if they'll have anything left for the playoffs. You saw them kind of peter out. They got injured right and left in the playoff series. So I don't know. I mean, I think right now you've got to say it's Cleveland and Boston. That's definitively right now in the East. I don't know if anybody can challenge that. Maybe the Knicks if they get the right defensive pieces, but still, I mean, when it comes right down to it, is there anybody in the West do you think that can challenge? Do you think OKC? I mean, because next week they play again, and I have a feeling it's not going to be 129 to 122. I have a feeling magically, because they're in OKC, they'll find that score going down a little bit.
That's one thing too.
Yeah. So do you think OKC is still on par with these teams, or do you think they need something more?
I still think they're all right here with each other. I still think Oklahoma can do at least one more good move to me, I think they do one more good move and really kind of lock down the west side for sure. I think they one move away from that. And I think they can still hang with Cleveland and Boston pretty good. But to be over the top, I think one more move would need to be done to put them over the top. To lock
What would
down
you
a
do?
franchise championship.
And what would that be? What would you go for? What do you think they need?
I think, well, they got the star. I feel like you got a good coach. I feel like maybe another good veteran or another good role player would help them out just a little bit more. And I know more and more experience would really be good. Somebody who done been there, done it, can help the young boys not fall apart when they get into the pressure moments of the playoffs.
Because I'm worried about Jalen Williams. Jalen Williams has not broken out to the extent that I thought he would this season, even though they're still doing tremendously, and you can't argue with the record. I just think that when it comes right down to it, they need another dynamic scorer who could drive into lane. They have a lot of perimeter standstill shooters that are tremendous defenders. No one will argue about the tremendous defensive players they have on that team. They just don't have enough dynamic players that can actually drive to the basket and either get fouled or kick it out to those shooters. That's my opinion, because their shooters are very streaky. They were really good last year. This year, for the most part, as a collective, they're not quite as good as far as shooting is concerned. But I really think that if they find themselves a dynamic scorer as a supplemental score, like another 20-point score, like throwing him out there for this team, Levine, without there with Shea Levine backcourt, would that be bad? I don't know. You tell me.
I mean, it wouldn't hurt to try it to me, and especially they got all the draft picks. So I mean, you got what everybody want. So you literally can go get whatever you need, whatever you want, no problem. Yeah. After you don't jug so many teams out them draft picks.
Let's see. What's this? Okay, so could use MVP Giddey back. Still not great shooting, and I don't, the defense. But you're right. He is a playmaker, which is something that they do need. I just don't know on that team. He was already losing favor and already losing time, and just lost his starting spot on that team on OKC. So I don't really know what if they would have digressed even further. But he is absolutely, as Xbox will tell you, an outstanding playmaker, and definitely looking forward to hearing his thoughts and upcoming as far as Xbox words on Australian players, hopefully in the near future at some point in time. Can't wait for the Flippers to get their own arena permanently. Get off our court. T85, they already have that. It's called the Intuit Dome. They've been playing there. Yeah, they've played 15 games there, I think. Yeah. So they have their own court. It's nice, shiny, brand new. If you did, check out Netflix, Raw Netflix. Yeah. You get a full 3-hour view of the Intuit Dome. That's where the Clippers play. Yeah, they left the crypt this season. So you got your wish. They're not sharing it anymore. Just the Kings. The Kings and the Lakers share it now. So there you go. But Xbox in the chat as well. Truly appreciate you stopping by again. Any talk of Giddey, and he's there. But Legend, I wanted to go ahead and just toss some NBA. Again, the Lakers have unfortunately postponed their game against Charlotte. So that kind of puts things up in the air right now with what's going on with the Lakers. We'll definitely try to get as far as where they're standing in the standings before we go ahead and head on out. But your Golden State Warriors, they get the victory over the surprising, shall I say, Detroit Pistons. This has truly been a Jekyll and a Jekyll and Hyde season. Jekyll and Hyde season for them. Your thoughts on Golden State, 19-18, They finally get a good performance, even though Stephen Curry really was bad today. Your thoughts on the Golden State Warriors? Can they find some momentum that they had earlier in the season?
I think they still can, but they gotta make some moves. It's like it's so glaring right now. You gotta do something. Cause at
Mm-hmm.
this point, you just like you just wasting Steph Curry. At this point, what's left of him, at least you just wasting it away. And it just is. It's kind of, to me, as a person who loves Steph Curry, who's a big fan, it kind of hurts to watch this man go through this. When at the very end, it shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't have to go out this way. I
So
feel like they
what?
got to do something.
Well, they've got a lot of guys. I said what worked for you in the beginning of the season was because your team had so many guys. You guys had so many adequate players.
Mm-hmm.
They had so many veteran players who knew their role. The problem is, as this has started to pan itself out, obviously losing D'Anthony Melton hurts you, but these veteran guys started playing, I guess, pretty much where they've been at in their entire careers. In a lot of cases, these are just average NBA players, even though they have some of them in cases some names, but they just really have just kind of reverted back to the means. And in doing so, the team has reverted back to its mean too as well. But you guys need something at 19 and 18 if you want to help Curry out. But you're in the same position, I think, as the Lakers. I don't know if there's enough in the arsenal to trade to get you where you want this Warriors team to go. I think it's a very similar situation to what we see with the Lakers.
Yeah, it's very similar. It's almost like it's not much to put him back into that championship conversation again, and it almost kind of making me get to the point of like, yeah, it might be over. Like this looking like it is really the end of maybe seeing him get another championship. And if it is looking like that case, and if it really is over, then maybe I would begin to be like, okay, maybe it's time to let him go, win the championship. It's gonna hit the rebuild and let's go through the pain.
So if that's the case, your other team, the Atlanta Hawks, in that Eastern Conference, again, you've got Detroit that until today was surging, playing a lot better. Atlanta have not been playing that great as of late. I don't know how upset you were that they kind of did the let's just rest everybody during the West Coast trip, and then all of a sudden in Utah, they needed a back-breaking three at the last second from Trae Young against Utah. I'll remind you again, it's Utah. So, with that's the case, where are you guys at with Atlanta? Because I know Atlanta is a team that you also admire as well.
I do like that they're growing, that they are showing improvement,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like I'm not sure why you want to rest everybody at the age. Like a lot of y'all boys are pretty young. You don't really need rest like that. But I do like the progression that we're making. When I look at where they're at right now, I kind of forgot where they're at this moment while looking at the standings. But I did thought like, okay, it's a little improvement. You kind of right in the middle of the pack, like between 6 and 8 seeds, something like around that spot. So I do like that they're showing slight life of improvement. Still think you got a long way to go to improve this team, but maybe you can still keep Trae Young and build around him and continue to make moves to improve this thing. But I
Because
do like
last
that.
year, I believe when I first started talking to you last season, I know you did not think it would probably be best to have him around for this rebuild.
Yeah, I still kind of back and forth about whether you should keep him or move him all, get some good pieces while he's still valuable. I'm still kind of back and forth on it. There's like a part of me that do feel like maybe you should still move him while he still got some values on him. I am surprised the Lakers still never get him. I was surprised at that one. I really thought the Lakers were gonna get Trae.
They just don't have enough assets. I really just don't think they can throw enough assets at these teams to get a player with a name like Trae Young. I mean, it's even less now that they don't have the D'Lo contract to throw around. I know that Quabina was talking about earlier getting Bruce Brown. I mean, Bruce Brown has been injured most of the season, played only a few sparing games with Toronto. And even if you trade Rui, a rotation player for the Lakers now, and then Vincent, who has another year on his contract, these are some of the major pieces financially that you could throw out there, unless you look at Austin Reeves, and they're just not desirable to other teams. They're just absolutely not desirable. Rui is a streaky player whose defense has been questionable, and I notice our
Yeah,
audience has been questioning it quite a bit as of late. But when he's on and he's streaky, he could be one of the better 3-point shooters in the league, over 40%. But I believe he still is the leader for the Lakers in 3-point percentage. So that being the case, it's just, I don't know, because he just, sometimes you just want more from him. You think there's going to be more, and you're just not getting it. Like 8 to 12 point games instead of 17 to 20 point games, which you should be getting from him on most occasions. So I just don't know where the Lakers are going to be able to go ahead and improve their team, or what they can utilize to improve their team substantially. The 2 first-round picks are probably the biggest asset that the Lakers have. The money, now that D'Angelo's expiring contract is gone, makes it a lot harder to make these trades. But I think at this point, with only 2 second-round picks that they have left to utilize in the trade, and the 2 first-round picks that they could bundle, that's not a whole lot of options. So I don't really know
right.
what caliber of player or players they could go ahead and realistically get.
It does makes it a lot harder after moving D'Angelo. He had a favorable contract I think anybody would have took, so which makes it hard to get people like Kessler or any one of them at this point. But I mean, you never know. Maybe Rob might pull a magic trick, pull a rabbit out of the hat, and make something happen.
Let me ask you this, though. Speaking of players that could be on the move, or in this case, really wants to be on the move, in Miami, I talked about it earlier this week with Alfred Esmond, and that's Jimmy Butler. I know the new locales for Jimmy Butler seems to pop up almost daily. I know that the prospect of the Bradley Beal Jimmy Butler trade probably won't happen because, again, as we talked about with LeBron, because everybody who has to trade LeBron has to say it's okay because he and Beal are the only players with a true no trade clause in their contracts. So, with that being said, my friend, how do you see this Jimmy Butler situation playing itself out?
I do believe by the trade deadline, Jimmy Butler will be out of Miami. I feel like at this point, he let it be known, I don't want to be here anymore. He done with Pat Riley. It's over. I mean, it got to the point where the fans, even Miami, don't want Jimmy there anymore. I think he had a mural or something down there, and they let him know how they feel about that. So I think he'll be gone by the trade deadline, and I think that'd be the right thing to do at this point because I don't think it's good to have all that toxicity on a team, and you need to move on. Both parties are going to move on.
If that's the case, what would you do? How would you do it? I mean, he's got a contract that it's about what, 47, I think, if I'm talking about 47 million. He's also got an option for 51. If he feels like he cannot get a multi-year contract with a number to his liking, Legend, he's going to say, I'm going to pick up that 51 mil for next season. So that
Ooh.
makes him even less attractive right now. This time next season, it will make him attractive because that's $51 million expiring off your cap. But right now, it's a little harder to move Jimmy B.
Ooh, I forgot all about his salary situation.
It's
Ooh,
always about the money, my friend.
man, he might be stuck there at this point. I hate it for him, but he might be stuck. But yeah, like you said, nobody is gonna want that contract, knowing that he's just gonna pick up the player auction, and I'm stuck with 51 mil next season. Ain't nobody gonna want that. And then that Sun deal do look build the same way too with no trade clause. So he might be stuck in Miami, and they're gonna just have to get uncomfortable with each other until the end of the season. Figure it out.
Well, he's on a suspension right now for conduct, I guess, detrimental to the team. I know the last 2 games, I believe he played before he was suspended. He kind of, for lack of a better term, half-assed it. And if that's the case, yeah, you obviously got to go ahead and that to me is disgraceful.
Yeah.
And okay, I can want to leave whatever situation I'm in, but if I'm being paid $47 million, I'm still going to give you everything I can before I go ahead and leave, sleep. I could say it, to every press member, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go, all I want. That's great. But when you're being paid such a substantial amount of money, it seems like you're doing a disservice to the fans that are there paying good money to watch you play and to help support you and the $47 million that you're getting.
Yeah, it's just a big slap in the face to the organization. I understand he's not happy with Pat Riley. I understand that. But still, they're paying you $47 million. So you still need to respect your contract, still do your job, and respect the people who paying all that money to come to the games to watch you play. You still got fans in Miami who probably not upset with you that still want to spend $300, $400, $500 tickets to come see you play. At least be willing to swallow the hatred that you got for Pat Riley and just do it for the fan. Don't do it for him or the franchise. Do it for the fans. At least that's a different situation.
Oh, YYC said yes, he does want the Suns. He colored his hair purple and then orange to, I guess, emulate his desire to go to Phoenix, a team that is also struggling at this point to find any sort of cohesion. Moved Bradley Beal to the bench, which really made it, I guess, uncomfortable for that situation in Phoenix. But yeah, absolutely. Going to be a very interesting situation to see in Miami as far as
It
how
is.
that goes. But yeah, just has some class. Uh, you know, so funny because we called it out. I think was it last season or the season before? We called it out when he was out sick, but after the game, met with fans who had traveled. They had these sign that I traveled from, I think Argentina or Brazil. So it was Brazil. It's Brazil. He traveled from thousands of miles from Brazil to see Jimmy Butler play. And wouldn't you know, they posed for a picture, the ill Jimmy Butler after the game. Yeah, that was just so great. Yeah, we called it out there. But also here today, it's a good man indeed. It is, of course, our own Australian Chris Hemsworth right there for you. I saw your eyes rolling every time I do that. It is Mark, aka Xbox. Xbox, great to have you here. As you know, the devastating fires in the Southern California area have postponed not only the Kings game yesterday, but the Lakers game against Charlotte today. No date has been given. They've also moved the NFL football game, the playoff game between the Vikings and the Rams, to Arizona. It's wreaking havoc all around the Southern California area. I have family still there and friends still there, and I've been constant contact with them, and so far they are okay. Kind of made me nervous, though, when the hills of Palos Verdes Peninsula started to see that into a fire zone itself, was kind of making me nervous because that is exactly where I'm from in that area. So yeah, I was kind of worried about that, but I guess that is not as important or big right now. So I'm hoping it'll stay small right now. But great to have you here, Mark. Your thoughts? I know that you wanted to go ahead and convey your best wishes to everyone out there. I know you did so earlier. I know you have emails to me, and I'm very honored and was touched by them. As far as it's been a rough week for us here, not only for the Lakers fans, but for us, this channel personally. It's had some rough goings, but I'm glad you're here, my friend. I'm really, truly glad you and Legend are here.
Oh, no worries. Thanks so much. It was probably the reason I wanted to jump on, was actually to say hello to Legend. Really love
Nice
your
to
work,
meet you.
man. Always see you in the chat. So yeah, it's an absolute pleasure to engage you, bro. But yeah, love the chats you have with Gerald about we get a good Hawks and Warriors update every time you're on. Can't say I like the Warriors, but I don't mind your Hawks, man. And yeah, Trae Young, what a baller. Honestly, man, I would love to see him in an LA uniform. I think he's really underrated overall as a player. Like, if you look at his stats, he's got stats like with these 20 assists that he gets that I don't know, like rivals like one or two other players in the history of the league. Like when you can average 20 assists, you can play. So yeah, man. Shout out to legend. But yeah, also more importantly, as important, sorry, is the fires. Man, I've never seen anything like it. Obviously, we've had horrific fires here, but when you see some of the satellite images and the way it's
Austin
been,
told me about the bushfires, and yeah, I've heard about the
yeah,
bushfires before. He was you and I
yeah,
were talking today, and I told him in the 25 years I as living in Southern California, I never experienced to this degree this
yeah.
heavily of fires on that. So
Well, you know what, like, really concerns me is, okay, you're in winter for a start. Okay, I know winter there in California is not super cold, but it's not like it's the hot season.
Right.
That's like, so it just doesn't seem to be happening at the right time either. And also when you have fires on the coast that's so close to water, that doesn't really make sense either. And when we have really big fires here, coastal towns just get smashed, and you'd think that's the last place that's going to get hit. So, man, you just can't predict it. It's completely out of control. And I know people are talking about you can prevent these things. Well, you've got to worry about that later now. You know, it's all about getting through this one. So, shout out to everyone because I know there's a lot of people that watch this that are in LA, especially Danny and Henry. John's in San Francisco, but just anyone that's there, man, we're thinking of you, eh? Like,
yeah,
I know we can't do much, but we're thinking of you.
Henry had some 100% agreed. Henry had some pictures he showed us about the wind still devastating in the Southern California area,
Man,
and yeah. Again, just Nick is out there in LA. I know Chris Ardieri is in the Southern California area. A lot of people that we interact with. Again, I'm from that area, so I have family and friends that still live there. So I am highly concerned. But like you talked about, Lahaina last year, such a beautiful area as far as that when that happened, as far as Hawaii in Hawaii, those fires.
yeah, that
I,
exactly right. Yeah,
and I visited there after the devastating fires, and it just they were trying to rebuild, but it was so devastating to see the loss
yeah,
of humanity as far as in that area. And now, if I go there, I'm gonna into Southern California. I'm gonna see the same thing in the Pacific Palisades or along Malibu, along the PCH. Yeah, it's just
yeah.
so devastating to
It
see
becomes
what's going on there.
scarring too for the people because you always wonder if that's going to happen again. And yeah, like they're it's just a tough one. You know, I do obviously feel sorry for the celebrities, but they typically do have the resources to go again. Where it's really the mums and dads and families out there, man. It's going to be a
Uh,
tough
and
road, eh?
there's silver, I know the Pacific Palisades and Malibu, they get talked about. There's Altadena. There's actual middle class families, thousands of middle class families that were adversely affected by the fires. But also here today is, of course, he's come out from the shadows. Is of course the bane of my existence. Indeed, it is Joe Sorrell. Joe, great to have you here. Of course, the Lakers game has been postponed. No sign or no date yet given on a new game. But you live in a community south of where the fires are being affected. But still, of course, you and I both know people right and left who are in the middle of this or affected by this. Just even if you're not involved in the fires, the fact that you have so much smoke still in the general area makes it a really, really bad environment as well.
Well, the electrical companies have been preparing proactive shutdowns just in case.
Mhm.
There was a fire that started not too far from where we were. I think it was right around this time last night, and they were able to take it out pretty quick. There's a popular homeless, I don't know if word encampment is the right word for that particular area, but definitely an area where homeless will sit because it's kind of below the freeway as you're coming into Temecula. You can't really see on that side. So the homeless people sometimes, especially being as cold as it is right now, at least for us, they're probably starting fires. And of course, what happens there with that. And they were able to take it out within a few hours. And of course, listening to a bunch of grown children whine and cry about why the electricity's out and what is the electrical company gonna pay for their meals and their fridges. And then I quickly have thoughts in my head of how to solve that problem, but I can't really discuss that on the show.
No, please don't. This is Joe. This is Joe indeed. But Joe, let me bring it back to you before I bring it to Legend and Xbox. Wanted to ask your thoughts on this. Again, the sports world in the LA has been put to a standstill. We will not hear word on yet as far as the upcoming games for San Antonio, but I have a feeling those two games, or at least one of those two games, might be adversely affected as well.
Yeah, this is likely going to be the worst fire, at least of my lifetime.
It is a mine. I can tell you that.
It's been creeping and it's been creeping and it's been creeping, and preventions have just really not come up to snuff at this point. And I'm going to take a wild guess that this will shift some things in terms of prevention. I don't know if I'm being optimistic or just the extent of how large of a problem this became, because the pressure is going to be on those who make those decisions. They're going to have to either answer for them, or there's going to be people that are going to replace them. We live for a certain lifestyle here in California. We like houses on hills, and we like all our electricity, so our food is cold. And when it's not cold, we go on Facebook and cry about it when people are losing their homes. And that's the society we live in. I don't think anybody's really learning the lesson or having any brain activity on who, what, and why. Now, the hilarious part is if they did nothing, who's going to get the blame? Well, you guys should have done this and you should have done that. Now they're doing something and you're like, my food is going to rot. Again, I can't say what I really want to say to that. I'll say it behind closed doors. But anyways, you can't predict nature. You can't really control nature to a degree, right? But at some point in your life, you have to really, really focus on what really matters. And unfortunately, most of the people, not just the big leaders this is the fallacy in society. You all think it's some rich guy that's sitting on top of a hill and all these people sitting on, it's not. It's not. Those guys are not in that position without people like us. We allow it to happen. We allow it to happen because we want cheaper stuff. Well, folks, you want prevention. It costs money. You want good things to be protected. It costs money. But when it comes to going and buying beer and whatever substance you like, that's not. I'll go pay $10 for a pack of cigarettes or $28 for a handle of Honey Jack. But man, if you give $3 on that electric bill because they have to fix something, oh my God. So there's this tug of war between morons and the bigger morons. And this is the result. These are the results. This isn't the first time fire has threatened an entire city. I was in the 2007 fire in San Diego, and that sucker was brutal. And I saw a big mountain of fire coming at me. I'm not exaggerating when I say that. It's a weird thing to look at 4 a.m. in the morning when you're half asleep. But I saw an entire hill on fire coming at us. Now, because I'm a sick individual, I actually got excited. I don't know what it was, adrenaline, dopamine. I don't know what it was. I was in full hero mode, and we got out of there. Me and my then girlfriend, who was my wife now, we got out of there in like 60 seconds. We're on the freeway. Boom, done. Gone in 60 seconds. At least that's what it felt like. And there was a lot of panic everywhere. And I felt like I was thriving in that moment because I think that's kind of how the circulatory thing works here. And then, of course, 2 weeks later, I was the happiest man on the planet, sweeping up soot out of my backyard. Our particular townhome community had Spanish tiles. I think that was a huge factor in maybe handling a little bit of that heat, and we were lucky enough to not have anything damaged. But San Diego went to extended, pre-measures to make sure that, hey, look, we got to make sure we do this next time. We got to do that next time, and there's a lot of those things. I'm sorry, I can't speak for what that is. I'm not an expert in that stuff, but it's unfortunate. But it was likely going to happen at some point. But no one ever wants to talk about what might happen. They only want to say, well, let's hope it doesn't happen. And you all know what I think about hope.
Oh, Legend, are you there? Okay, Legend, I guess is, I'll get back. Oh, there's Legend. Legend, let me bring it back to you. Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is a snack pack coming right back at you here. Legend, I wanted to ask you this. With Atlanta's loss tonight against Phoenix, with Beal coming off the bench, I know we discussed it earlier. I mean, Beal is trying to make the best out of a bad situation. I think that's something that we would look at in regards to, he can't be traded unless he wants to be traded. So I don't know how much better or worse it's going to get. But Beal coming off the bench for 25, do you think Phoenix has finally found something that they can rely upon as far as to help them make the push forward? I mean, they did pull away from your Hawks late. Is that going to be the thing that they might be doing going forward? Is Beal coming off the bench? Is this Beal's future as a player, as a sixth man?
It definitely looked like it might be the feature on at least this team wise, and it looked like it might be the best thing too, especially since he's an injury prone player. At least coming off the bench, it'll take a little bit of wear and tear off the body wise. So that would be maybe better official for the team wise, make him a little more efficient. Maybe stay in a rotation much better. Stay out of being out of games most of the time with injuries. So it's looking like it's working for them. Now, whether he's happy about that role is a whole nother question. But team-wise, it's working. But I just don't know if he really gonna accept that though. I mean, he's the type of person who want to suck coming off the bench.
Yeah, so see how long that'll last. I can't say I blame you. I blame you on that. Xbox, in regards to the Lakers, I want to bring it back to the Lakers real quickly, but I did say last night that JJ Redick, he might have been distracted in the game against Dallas because his family was being evacuated at the time they were playing Dallas, and we weren't sure if his house had been affected adversely 100%, but we could pretty much see the writing on the wall on that one. It was confirmed his house did burn down. And his house is part of the 10,000 structures, roughly both businesses and homes that have been burnt or damaged in this fire. So his was a total loss. We've heard family homes for Steve Kerr, and then, of course, several stars. And you said, of course, a lot of the people that are more affluent, financially successful, will most likely be okay. They can financially replace a great deal, too much, if not all, of what they lost. It's the harder impact communities that are there. Like again, I mentioned Altadena, and there's several other towns, communities, and cities that are adversely affected that may not be so lucky. But JJ, he is obviously going to be distracted now even further to help continue to coach this team.
Well, that's interesting because you shared someone in our group shared the press conference of JJ after the game. And I certainly, like the way he was acting wasn't dissimilar to how he normally acts. He especially after a loss, he gets pretty upset and pretty reflective. So I'm not sure how much that affected the in-game coaching. I said after the game, I didn't feel like, he had his moments where he didn't coach too well. There was a moment late where he should have called a timeout and he didn't. And when we were trying to get LeBron late into the game around the 5th minute there in the 4th quarter. So, like, I'm not sure how much it affected the coaching, but I put that loss down to the players. I don't put it down to coaching. There were some poor moments, but the players were shite. Rui was pathetic, and we've gone through the names before. AD didn't show up, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I mean, obviously you feel bad for JJ, but yeah, he's on good money, so I'm sure, and he's got great support with the Lakers family, so he'll be fine. But yeah, just obviously our thoughts with everyone and what they're going through in that respect. Just want to make a quick comment about the Suns, like, yeah, I feel like Beal, like, yeah, it is good structurally for him to come off the bench, but when you look at their squad, even when you compare it to ours, their squad's trash. Like, they're not going anywhere. I know that you got 3 elite players, but the rest of the team is very, very poor. Where we drop off after our 2 superstars, they drop off even more after their 3. So I don't see them as a threat. I sort of thought coming into the year they were, playing pretty good basketball early, but when you watch them, they're not fluid. When you got Devin Booker at point, that's not going to work out for you. So yeah, I don't know. The Suns, they've got to blow it up, and but when you got players with no trade clauses, it prevents you from doing that quickly. So, but yeah, just quickly back on the Lakers. Hopefully, they can get through these next few days in best health as possible, and that it doesn't affect their families, and that we come out flying next game we play. Because despite everything that's going on, it sucked that we didn't play today. It's not good. I missed it, but there's bigger things at play, obviously.
Exactly. Well said. Well said, my friend. Both you and Legend truly appreciate it. And then Joe, this is not unlike something we've seen before, where a game has been postponed or been moved. Kareem, when he broke the scoring record, where was that at? I had to tell my daughter today it was at the Thomas and Mack at UNLV here in Las Vegas because it was moved over because of an earthquake. So this is not unlike something we haven't seen before, Joe, in Southern California sports.
Yeah, it happens more than you think. And whether it's groveling for collective bargaining agreements, shifting the schedules a couple months ahead, or natural disasters, or riots, this is we're still living in a world outside the court, and the outside world can sometimes dictate what you need to do on the court. I don't know if the game. I don't really think the game had any effect on what was going on. There wasn't a lot of, at the time of the game, there wasn't a lot of ruckus yet. Ruckus as in things really burning. I think there was the threat, obviously. So I don't know necessarily if that played a factor in any of this. I just don't. I just don't think that factored in. But now it's a factor, and now it's probably not a good idea to. I know it was only a rental place, but he probably had things that were private in that house, and who knows what he lost. That stuff sucks when you lose it. Hell, you get mad when you lose it and you don't know where the container is, let alone knowing it got burned. And there's a lot more people that lost their homes. Obviously, we know who a lot of them are because that's a highly celebrity-ized area. Altadena is not that. I mean, it's far off from the Palisades, but it's people that are there are still doing good. The only thing I'm trying to figure out is the insurance issues. I don't know if that stuff's real. I've owned a home for 15 years, almost 16 years now, and I've never even I've never even had a problem with insurance. I hear that a lot of this stuff happens, or the insurance goes up, and I'm like, okay, so go get another insurance. Like, I don't. To me, that doesn't make any sense. That's like not having a trust for your family. So many people don't do it, or a life insurance. When you have a family, it's like, what the hell are you doing? Like, And you got to be on top of that, folks. I know it sucks. I know insurance companies suck, and I know certain, headaches of those things are not something you want to deal with, but you have to. That's life. And my question, though, in the end is, what's next? What's next? Is this going to be preventable? Can you prevent this next time? And can you prevent it? I don't know that I'd like to know that answer. And I'm not very happy with leadership in general. We talk a lot about leadership on the show on a lot of things, and just looking at the leadership of certain things, you're just sitting there going, what are these people doing? And that's why you start to get angry, and that's why you start to get your venom out on it, because you're like, what are you doing? You don't need to be a rocket science to figure out that people are dealing with stuff in a place you're supposed to be responsible for, and you're not even there. And you've got this abstract reason right out the gate. It's almost like you have an answer already without even knowing. And then you get mad at other people who say the same thing. So there's this bickering, there's this blame game. Blame game is over, folks. We already know we already know the problem. But are you going to do something about it? And the answer is probably not, because people are worried about the stupid ass cat food that's going to get warm in the fridge, and it's going to get ruined, and whether the electric company is going to pay that $3.99 for that can of tuna or cat food or whatever the hell it is. That's where people's minds are. So that's, again, I can go deep into this, but I don't think we want to do that on a Lakers show. But it's considering the circumstances, take a look at yourselves, people, and really, really kind of start figuring out what who you really are. But it's just, people are going to be people either way.
Well, I wanted to make sure, I know he left us right now, but wanted to make sure I want to give a big thank you to Legend 350. He's awesome. Truly appreciate him stopping by. Please go ahead and check out his channel today. I've got it for you in the description below, so go ahead and stop on by. No word yet on if and when the games are going to continue for LA. Mark, I know I was going to ask Legend his thoughts, because I know that when they had to deal with the tornadoes, how did they structure it? Did they move the games to a facility nearby, or what was the conversations like? That's what I'm worried about, or I'm concerned about, or I'm thinking about is, okay, if you don't want to play it in downtown due to smoke or logistics or anything, how it's too close to the situation.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. You don't have to take arena games. Stadium games, I get it. I understand it. Outside of San Diego, there's no really premier NFL stadium. But arenas, we talked about it. You could start with the Pond, the Honda Center down south in Orange County, and then go your way pretty much all over Palm Springs, Bakersfield. There's areas that are unaffected by this that you still could do it from if need be.
That's the discussions they're going to be having right now. But the thing that's going to, make games go somewhere else is if this thing goes on for a long time, and this issue around air quality. I'm not there, so I don't really fully understand what's going on, and the I don't know the layout of LA as certainly as well as you guys. But I guess we've got the upcoming game. Was it Saturday your time against Spurs? That's in threat. In threat.
That is
obviously.
that is very much in limbo at this time.
Yeah, but at the same time, whether or not you look to move games, I'm not sure that's the answer too. Is it you postpone 2 or 3 games, you play it later in the season? I think that's all the discussions they're having right now. Obviously, you're going to need to move games if it goes on for a long time, but we'll see what the league does. I'd like personally, when things like this is going on, there's bigger things at play. So I'd like to see them postpone the next game if it is affecting the area like it is today, obviously, and then reassess after that. There's going to be a cutoff point where you can't keep postponing games, but it's only circa 2 at this point. So let's keep an open mind, because I don't think we do ourselves a favor by not playing away from the crypt, as we call it these days. And yeah, just for the quality of the league and that, I'd like things to keep the same. So we'll see what discussions they have and what the weather does over the next few days. But I guess the other concern for our players is, can they get together at the moment? Are they training? I don't know how any of that looks. But and when they do get back, how has this affected some of the players and the team, and their team, the friends and family, etc., that it might affect their heads a bit. That's obviously a little bit of a concern in my mind too. It's a massive event, and the guys are seeing it. So we'll see, man. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of to come out of this mix over the next few days. But my hope is that the weather obviously gets better and things start getting back to normal and the rebuild begins, and our Lakers can start playing and give people a bit of a distraction. That's always something that happens here in Australia is, sport is a distraction when things aren't good. So, yeah, the Lakers, we need them. We need them out there soon, eh?
Absolutely. Chris says, come out and host in the Inland Empire. Is that possible? Joe, what are the different variables that you think they can choose from? I mean, you can only postpone so many games before it really becomes a disruption in the schedule for the teams. And again, if you just go down south, there are many viable options for arenas available for the Lakers. Doesn't have to go ahead and move 40 to 70,000 seat stadiums, because I get it. I get what they're doing with the NFL and the Arizona deal. But for the Lakers and the Kings and the Clippers, they could do something different if they wanted to.
Intuit Arena is set for hockey, is it?
The Intuit, I don't know if the Intuit Dome has, has that capability for hockey. I'm sure they could. Sure, they do. I don't know if they've set it. They've never set up for it though.
Yeah,
yet.
The Clippers, yeah, the new stadium.
Yeah, they've never set up for an ice rink under it. So I don't know how they could do it.
My guess is, and this is a quote from EJ. I hope he doesn't get mad when I say it, but he lives in the hood, and fires don't go in the hood unless they start it within the hood. I'm gonna take a guess that the Clippers are gonna be okay in Inglewood. Worst case scenario,
Okay.
they may have to play it in LA. I'm sorry, they'd have to be at Intuit Arena because there's no other thing that can hold. There's no other facility anywhere near here that could hold a Laker game. Really,
the retro, forum. I don't know how it looks. I know my daughters went into it, but I'm sure it's been retrofitted because it was retrofitted twice because it was a church at one time. It was used for services.
There could be something there. I haven't seen inside, so I don't know how to. I wouldn't know how to assess that. If it's the same as it was before, that would be a temporary thing for sure. But I don't know. I'm going to guess they've changed it since 24 years ago.
I would imagine it should, because like I said, like the Olympic Arena, the old Olympic Arena, they changed it for a religious service, and it was a religious facility for some time using services, and then the forum, they reverted it back to a music, as far as for a lot of music concerts and things of that nature. So also here today, good man indeed. It is, of course, the Magic Man, Sean Grice. Sean, great to have you here. The bane of Joe's existence. Always good to have you here, my friend. Looking forward to hopefully getting Legend back on. I know his computer crashed on him, so I know that feeling all too well. Is the Toyota Center small? Chris is saying.
You merely adopted the doc, Joe. I was molded by it.
No worries, Xbox. No worries. But is the Toyota Center small, Joe? Before we get over to Magic,
it looks small.
No.
I mean, remember the forum was 17,505. So I don't know what it is now, how it's set up for
Toyota Center capacity.
Is that where the Ducks play?
No, that's the Honda Center. I was corrected on that. That's used to be the pond.
Man.
I know what you meant.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I remembered.
We've got a ton of arenas, Mark.
Yeah, it's insane.
anything like over that concede over
Oh no, they
7,000.
can.
Hey,
it would-
Gerald.
it would work.
Gerald, the NHL made the dumbest decision when they decided to put an outdoor hockey game in Las Vegas.
No, they put it was in Tahoe.
It was in Tahoe.
Yes. So it was.
Well, isn't part of Tahoe in both Vegas and California?
It's Nevada and California. It's like near Reno. It's more near Reno, to be honest with you on that. So it was. I remember that day. It was it was cold, but not cold enough. I think that was the problem. But hey, in their infinite wisdom, they're going to try and do it again in Florida. So we'll see how that
Why
goes.
don't we play an outdoor basketball game when it's really windy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I want to see how the Florida one goes. That's a killer to me.
God.
Yes. But Magic Man, I mean, we're all trying to figure out what's going to go on. Obviously, the NBA hasn't decided exactly if they're going to cancel or postpone any more games when they're rescheduling these games too. Are they going to use another locale? Trying to give them options. There should be plenty of options that are available to them. Again, in the Southern California area, as Joe and I could tell you, there are at least a dozen options south of downtown LA that you could actually hold a NBA basketball game in. Your thoughts? Should they keep on postponing games if this continues, or should they try to provide some sort of distraction by having the Lakers / Clippers / Kings start playing sports once again? Because the NFL is not stopping; they're just moving it to Arizona.
I'm sure there's a middle ground there that the NBA will have. But yeah, Gerald, you're right. I mean, the NFL made a very trigger-happy decision there, just moving the game to Arizona. Hey, Arizona, you get to host a wild card game. You're just not playing in it.
Well, I know here in Nevada, I mean, we could have the day. The day was open at the Allegiant Stadium, so I don't know why they didn't use that. Although right now we're worried about our fuel here in Las Vegas because of rumors of the fuel lines being shut down. So I just spent 2 hours, as I told Legend earlier today. Legend and I were supposed to do a show at 5 Pacific time. I couldn't because I was sitting at gas lines at Costco for both my cars.
Gerald, I really do think that the Rams season ticket holders.
Oh, Mark, I'm just saying. Oh, sorry, Mark. We all panic here in Vegas when we hear it. We did it last year. We did it again. Yeah, they all panic.
Between your Christmas shopping being stuck in a car park and that incident, I'm never coming there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I'm sure the Rams season ticket holders had some say in where the game was going to be.
There you go. We'll see. They're going to have to talk about it even more. Going to have those options that they have available for the NFL.
That's this is big money we're talking about, and this isn't just. Like, no offense, but this isn't just Mike Brown or Terry Pagula. This is Stan Kroenke, Gerald. He has his hands in just about every pie in America possible. He owns a hockey money. He owns a hockey team. He owns a baseball team. He owns a football team. I believe he owns a couple of entertainment corporations. Like, the guy's like just not your average.
Yeah, they own Manchester United.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stan Kroenke.
Stan Kroenke. Yeah.
So United too, man. It's insane.
Xbox, I did want to say to you, I did park for CES. I used parking, like I told you the other day, at the Fashion Show Mall, right across from where the bombing happened, and literally across the street. In fact, remember when Sean? Remember when we had the one where I crashed, where I was sitting there watching the game with you guys I was using that same exact spot right across the street from where the bombing happened, and it's like nothing ever happened. It's like absolutely nothing ever happened. Yeah,
life goes on.
Life goes on. Yep.
Yeah.
Can't slow down the valet area in the Las Vegas hotel.
Yeah,
no matter which hotel it is. Yeah, too much money involved there.
Mark, are you familiar with the work of Dennis Quaid?
Yeah, the actor.
Yeah, check this out. check this out. The status quo is Stan Kroenke.
Oh wow, there you go. Yeah, that's classic, man. I actually saw him in the news in the last 24 hours.
But Joe, let me bring it back to you. I mean, I just think there's at some point, if it goes to the weekend, I think you're going to have to start looking at alternatives for the Lakers if you're worried so much about the air quality and you don't put it in Inglewood at the Intuit Dome. And there's plenty of options. Again, I would consider the Honda Center, aka the Pond. I still like that building. I remember being there on more than one occasion.
It's got a real Anaheim.
Nice,
yeah, that's right in downtown Anaheim.
It's got beautiful marble inside. I just really absolutely love the layout inside. It was just a shame that the Clippers didn't go there and stay there permanently.
It's regularly considered one of the best road arenas to attend a hockey game at.
It has aged well, but
it's not only that; it's that area in general. Even the Angels games. Despite their play, it's one of the best places to go. They have the best
right there next to the freeway, Joe.
It's the best, by far the best food I've ever been to in any park, which is just weird because Disneyland, which is kind of its big brother there, has the worst food on the planet there.
Really, Joe?
I'm like, dude, why don't you just take a page out of the Angels over here?
So if you were at an Angels game, what would you order?
Oh man,
the Philly cheesesteak. It's really good. It's really good for a place in Anaheim.
I've only gotten hot dogs and hamburgers there, Magic Man, so I'll have to take Joe's word for it.
Oh, hot dogs and hamburgers are great. I'm sure. I haven't tried them yet because I'm hardly ever there. I was there for, coincidentally, Ohtani was pitching that day, and my kid was singing the national anthem with their school.
Wow.
So I got a chance to really kind of see what was up, and I lucked in that Ohtani was pitching that day. I didn't get a chance to see the whole game, but it was kind of cool. I was like, oh, shoot, Ohtani's pitching. This is the perfect day for this. I don't.
Who had a better performance, your daughter or Ohtani?
Well, I kind of was bummed because I didn't know it was going to be 1,800 other schools there.
Oh.
I was like, what? Man. I thought it was the school, and they were going to be in the middle of the field. It turned out they were on the warning track, and
like all
they sang, and they had everybody there singing. I was like, "This is what?"
The show just blew up.
1,800 students.
What school is this, Joe?
My kid's school. It was a middle school. Dorothy McElhaney. Yeah, my youngest now is going there. She just started this year. My oldest now is in high school, first freshman in high school.
Hey Joe, just quickly, like that Intuit.
I gotta give a come on, man, to that. Come on,
sorry.
Man.
I've just got a question for Joe. That Intuit Dome, does Steve Ballmer get the ultimate yes or no on who plays there, or that? Do you know what I mean? He's not a big fan of the Lakers. Would he?
I don't think there's any
worry about that.
Between, Ballmer. Yeah, we throw digs at Ballmer, but it's not anything with malice. I actually think he's a good man. Actually, I think he's better than our ownership in terms of people. Sure. I mean, I don't know. Again, you never really know who anybody is, but from my viewing of him, I think he's a good person. Yeah. I don't see how he wouldn't help out. I would be in shock. But I do like Gerald's idea about the Honda Center because it is a beautiful place to go play. I just don't know if hockey, basketball is going to be easy to manage there if these guys decide that you can't play at the Crypt for another 2-3 weeks. I don't know how that would work. But it's got to be one of those two in my view. It's got to be one of those two. I don't know anywhere else where they could play without having to drive to where. There's nothing in San Diego either.
The Palm Springs, the Bakersfield.
But those are small areas.
Those are smaller.
They're not set up. Ontario's not set up for that. None of those places are set up anywhere near Pechanga. Hell no. That place is it's already a parking lot with minimal crowds. They have to go to a legitimate NBA arena or hockey area where they can put a floor there.
And we've seen the Clippers and the Lakers play games there at the Honda Center before in the past. So, I mean, that's my assessment. If I'm just saying,
I'm going to say if I had to pick, if I had to guess, I think they end up there. I would say they probably end up there.
Do you think they're going to go ahead and cancel the Saturday and Monday games?
I don't see why they wouldn't, because the fire is coming up on the Hollywood Hills, according to reports earlier this evening.
Yeah.
And it's until that gets figured out, I don't know how they're going to, and I don't even know when they're going to get everything done anyways. We don't really have any idea. I still haven't heard a percentage of the fire being taken out. That's usually a bad sign. Usually you get some kind of report. Well, 5% of the fire has been contained. I haven't heard one story online or on TV. I haven't been watching a lot of the TV, but when I haven't heard one report of any containment anywhere.
I can give you an update on that. Where was it?
And with that, folks, I want to, again, thank you for having me on tonight. I got to jet out. Sean, I'll talk to you probably later tonight or after the show. Gerald.
See you, mate.
And Mark, I didn't know if you were gone.
Just to let you know, the Lydia fire is 60% contained. The Hearst fire is 10% contained. Everything else is under 10%.
Okay. And how many fires are there?
5 currently. 6 if you include the Palos Verdes one, but that is so small and incremental compared to the other 5.
Well, again, I hope. I don't know what to hope. Is that V8?
No.
What is that?
It is a Bolt House berry juice smoothie.
Oh, I just had this feeling you were drinking a Bloody Mary out of a V8 bottle.
And wow, I could have had a V8.
My mouth started to water. I don't know why.
No. We're strictly on basically an iodine and glycogen diet right now.
Got it. Well, enjoy your drink, Gerald. Thank you for the report. Mark, you have now the light of God behind you, like Stone does. So that's a good thing. I will likely see you guys tomorrow. It's been a
well. God did bless men who were born south of the border, especially in Australia.
What does the term down under really mean?
Well,
exactly.
Several meanings.
Yeah. But anyways, have a good night, guys. We'll talk soon.
No wonder there was a population explosion.
Once again, it is Joe Sorrow, aka Ox1947 at LakersBall.com, and also as well his game Corrupt, CUREUPT on Steam, and of course also as well the company he owns, Simblades with a Y.com.
I've got to do the same, Gerald, and it's not because Sean just got here. I actually flagged it in the chat.
Yes, you did.
I've got a meeting, so man. But hopefully you do this tomorrow, and I'll jump on as well for sure. And
we'll do something tomorrow night. Yeah, just to give people an update on what's going on. Absolutely,
awesome,
right.
Boys.
I'll finish up with Magic Man here.
Yeah,
though,
that'll be sick.
Want to give him a chance to go ahead. Thanks, my friend. It is Mark, aka Xbox. One of the best mods we got out there. Truly appreciate it. Truly appreciate Kurt Affair in the chat as far as modding in his place and in his stead as well. Big shout out to Danny, who is in that area. Praying for you, my friend, and praying for everyone in that area. I know, again, as I said before, I've got family and friends in that area I've been in contact with, and I'm very concerned for their safety. So I'm wishing them continued safety. Again, I just really worried about them at this point in time. But before we head it out, I want to turn it to some thoughts from you on the NBA.
Gerald, before we move on, I just wanted to ask you: do some of them still have their homes?
Anybody I've been talking to still has their homes at this time. Still has their living. They're not directly in those areas that are affected. Most of them, though, are hampered as far as their everyday activities by it. The breathing is still an issue because of the smoke involved in several areas.
I heard there could be up to about 1,500 power lines down in Los Angeles.
Absolutely. There is 10,000 buildings, both residential, commercial, have been damaged or destroyed. And yes, there's several power lines down. again, here in Vegas, it affects us because there's been rumors that due to safety reasons, they might shut off the fuel that comes from California to Nevada. So people have been concerned about that all day. So I found out the hard way. I was told to go hit Costco, and I did. And that again, I was going to have. I'm so thankful to Legend for allowing us to come on later. I was supposed to go on with him at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which was 4 hours ago, but I couldn't because of those situations. So yes, even so far out, it does affect us here. So before we head on out, though, trying to put things in a little bit lighter touch as far as the great concerns that we have. Want to go ahead and talk a little bit about the NBA. I talked to Legend about his thoughts in regards to the big matchup yesterday between OKC and also as well, of course, Cleveland. Uh, I mean, I know what people think about when they think about the Lakers, about how they might still find this pathway that we could do something to get this team in the mix, because there is no definitive going to be the champion. Cleveland, even with its gaudy record, people think, okay, well, they weren't the champion last year, so there's a possibility they could be beaten. Boston hasn't quite looked as good this year as they did last year, so they look like they could be beaten. OKC, yeah, I know they've only lost 6 times, but can they really take that next step? So people are still finding hope in the fact that the Lakers, with their experience, can somehow manage to go ahead, and if they get a 4 seed or a 3rd seed, can somehow find their way through. I mean, after seeing what you saw this week and most likely what you'll see next week with OKC and Cleveland, is your opinion changing on how open this race could still be in the NBA?
Yes, because as you said, Gerald, as you pointed out, there's a handful of inexperienced teams sitting at the top of both conferences, and you're just not sure what the payload is come playoff time. Now, some young teams take the next step, but others falter. For every OKC, there's always a Memphis or a Minnesota where they have a great year and then a disappointing year and then an okay year, and then it seems to be a recycled cycle of mediocrity and then playing above your head. And I would say at this point, I would count on at least one of, if not both, Oklahoma City and Memphis to have somewhat of a disruptive matchup in the playoffs. I mean, eventually, Gerald, we saw what happened to Oklahoma City in the second round last year. They just ran into a team that was just more experienced than them. And when it came down to the final 2 minutes, Dallas was able to execute what they wanted to, and Oklahoma City fumbled a lot of the time. And, it was indicative of a young team trying to find its identity by breaking through in the playoffs. Maybe that happens this year. I'm like you. I'm still skeptical about it. I'm less skeptical about Cleveland. I actually think Cleveland is for real. I can't argue against Kenny Atkinson's aptitude for his X's and O's. He knows exactly what kind of offense he wants to run. It's quick strikes or it's heavy ball movement with a lot of cuts, dives, misdirection. He likes having optionality especially with Darius Garland and Karis LeVert out there, Gerald. And I mean, at this point in time, I think it's a runaway. I think Cleveland might actually. They're not going to sweep the awards, Gerald, but they're definitely in the running for Coach of the Year, Executive of the Year, and Sixth Man of the Year. I think Karis LeVert is the clear sixth man. He's able to run a very, very well-oiled machine bench. So I think they can be a threat to Boston. But like I've told you before, I don't know what it is yet. I haven't seen it. There is a hole in Cleveland's offense, and I think it could be exposed in the half court in the playoffs. I think they need to shore that up. If they did shore that up, I would feel more confidently that they could take on a Boston or a Knick team in the playoffs. But I mean, we saw last year, when Jared Allen and Evan Mobley are motivated, Gerald, and playing effective, it's really hard to beat them. Even a Knicks team that's feisty as they are in Boston with their size, I think it would be a problem. I think Cleveland would be a problem if those two were able to stay consistently balanced.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is a snack pack. It is the Magic Man Sean Grice chugging the V8, which is not a V8, which Joe Soro mistaked as a V8. Right there for us.
Well, not only is his hearing going, his eyesight's going now too. This isn't orange, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't orange. But Joe Soros said it was orange.
I hear this man all day, Sean, and I could surmise that a lot of other things are going as well. But be that as it may, it is of course the Magic Man Sean Grice along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening again. YYC has got the Knicks coming out of the East, and I don't know YYC. It's just so hard to stay with them and stay confident. I mean, they're so efficient offensively right now, but I'm just surprised that defensively it's been such a problem because of the wings. You'd think because they have guys like Bridges and Anunoby, Josh Hart, who are supposed to be defensive-minded, defensive-first wings, and just have not really been able to slow down teams. They haven't needed to in most part because they outscore their opponents, because Cat is on fire still to this day, and Brunson chips in. Yeah, absolutely. I just don't know if I can totally get behind them. Plus, what kind of team will they have? Once again, will they break down because Tibbs played them so hard during the season like they did last season? I mean, because they were when Tibbs just runs you to the ground 40 minutes a game, every single game, plays 7 or 8 guys only. Well, I think he does it. I think it's usually 7. It's just so hard for me to see if New York has got something sustainable unless they find maybe another tweak in their roster that can help them out.
Gerald. I mean, it's just a matter. It's just a matter of like biophysics there with Tibbs. I mean, you're especially in the playoffs. I mean, your vital capacity is the most important tool you've got as a basketball player. Your ability to have endurance and to maintain that endurance or stamina. It's not attainable when you're playing 6 guys 42, 43 minutes a night. I mean, Gerald pointed out this year, the Knicks happened to be up by what, Gerald, 25, and he was still playing Miles Bridges 40 minutes a game. Like it's sometimes it's incomprehensible that Tibbs will play a guy 40 minutes, whether they're up by 25 or down by 25. And yeah, Gerald, I'm just not sure if it's sustainable either. Although they do have a very nice team, and I do think they can give anybody a scare in the East, especially with their length on the perimeter. I will say this though, Gerald, they need more. They need They need a little. I'm not sure what's happened to OG and Anunoby this year. If he's just trying to fit out, or trying harder to fit in. But last year it was almost a seamless transition when he got traded. And this year, offensively, it's been up and down for him a little bit, and he needs to develop more consistency.
You could say the same thing about Bridges, though, but Bridges has been on fire as of late.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about Bridges, though, is he's always a threat to possibly go for 40, 45 a night. I mean, he just has that kind of smooth stroke. But yeah, that's true as well. They're going to need both of those guys in a playoff series against any one of these teams. So, I mean, it's really important that they have some energy reserve, when we get into the second or third round, because again, Gerald, as we noted, it was really a surprise that the Indiana Pacers were able to defeat them in a playoff series. They haven't really gotten that right since, and Tibbs is just kind of going back to the well of what got him to a successful run, but eventually is burned out his players.
We'll see what happens if he does it all over again. But right now, Cleveland and Boston, the definitive 1-2. Although again, Boston just seemingly going through the motions. So I know that some in our chat, BD and Twitch on Twitch said, basically that he still thinks Boston can do it. And I can't say I disagree with him because, they've still got everyone, as long as they have everyone healthy going to the playoffs, they're still one of the teams to beat. Although Cleveland has just been playing on such a high, you wonder during the regular season, we've seen it before where teams play themselves at such a high level at 60 or 70 win pace, then just don't get it done in the playoffs.
It doesn't happen. Yeah. I mean, we've seen it before. We'll see it again. Although I will say this, to be fair, Donovan Mitchell does have playoff experience, and he's also one of a handful of ever NBA players to score over 50 points in a playoff game multiple times, Gerald.
In the bubble, I remember that he had that great duel, if I remember.
With Jamal Murray, that's right.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So he's capable of scoring 50 in a playoff game multiple times, ladies and gentlemen. He's shown he can do it. You add Darius Garland, you add Evan Mobley, you add a Jared Allen, you also add a Karis LeVert in there, a Ty Jerome, who will probably win Comeback Player of the Year. You have a pretty good team, and you have to add something to that. Now, somebody in the chat was saying that they think that Cat could possibly make Allen unplayable. That's possible, Gerald. But that's why we have the ability to make moves. I think maybe that's the hole I'm seeing. If another big can play Allen or Mobley off the floor, Gerald, Cleveland really doesn't have a competent big to replace that production, do they?
Well, I see what YYC is saying, that he's going to drag Allen outside the paint.
Mm-hmm.
And even if that's the case, though, if he does, Mobley that's still another 6'10" guy that can still be manning the paint. That's the luxury that Cleveland has. Okay, you drag Mobley out there. They could even switch Mobley and Allen.
It's their own version of the Twin Towers defensively.
Yeah, 6'10" and 6'11" right there for you. And they could. YYC does. If Cat stays outside, I would just send Mobley outside.
Yeah, and I know what people are thinking. It might be suspect, but this isn't Enes Kanter and Steven Adams in the playoffs.
And if Josh Hart's out there, have Allen guard him, because Josh likes to crash the boards on the offensive end.
I mean, let's Gerald, if Cleveland finishes in first place and finishes relatively where they are as an offensive and defensive rating team, would you consider that Jared Allen should be the defensive player of the year?
No, at this point, how can you take away from Wemby at this point? I know that a lot of people are saying as far as the overall record for the San Antonio Spurs, and I get that. So if you really want to lay it on the line, then maybe you would look towards a Jared Allen. That's not a bad choice at all under normal circumstances. But with Wembanyama out there getting those video game-like numbers, I think voters are going to be entranced on that one.
Sure.
Corbina, that's actually a better suggestion. Royce O'Neal for the Phoenix Suns as far as a possible trade target for the Lakers. I know that Phoenix is thinking about doing something. Although right now having Beal off the bench seems to be clicking and working with them because they've won 2 out of the last 3 with him coming off the bench. I just don't know how much longer he's going to like it. But Royce O'Neal hasn't been doing great with the Suns, but as a defensive player, he obviously would help along the perimeter. But again, when it comes right down to the Lakers, I will probably close out our conversation with this because I don't think Legend's going to be able to come back because of his computer issues. But I just see the Lakers needing something more. I know they have a chance right now in the Western Conference because, not everyone believes in OKC. I get that. I understand that. But with Denver now starting their surge towards second place, Denver's been playing real well as of late. Houston just won against Memphis. So Memphis may be sliding down a little bit. The Lakers need, I think, something more to compete against the top teams in the NBA. I just don't know what that is that they can realistically get. I know that Bruce Brown was mentioned, but it's not the Bruce Brown of 2 years ago. That's the problem. You're getting the Brown of 2 years today, not 2 years yesterday. Royce O'Neal, I think, would be a good thing, but does that really help what would you trade? Because you have to trade virtually dollar for dollar with Phoenix. And in doing so, because Phoenix is in the second tax apron, what would you really get back? Or what would they really get back as far as a trade and return? They can't trade for multiple players as far as that. I mean, can they get back multiple players? I know they can't ship out multiple players. I know that. So again, it's very tricky on what they could do for as a second team, but maybe facilitating another team involved may be able to get that done. But yeah, as far as the Lakers are concerned, I know that our thoughts and their thoughts are with JJ Redick, his house being destroyed, even the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard leaving the team to tend to his family. Our thoughts are distracted elsewhere. But once this gets back into reality and we get back to Lakers basketball again, I know it'll turn to what can the Lakers do to try and get their team in a better position to win games.
Yes, because we were wondering if JJ Redick was distracted, and obviously he was, Gerald. Just a terrible turn of events for that family and for thousands of families in the Los Angeles area. This is very sad, and hopefully in a few days we'll be able to get back to the business of Lakers Fast Break and analyzing and dissecting the Lakers again. But we'll have to wait.
We'll have to wait indeed. But before we head it out, Magic Man, I really, truly appreciate you coming on late. Legend 350 and Mark and Joe as well. Your thoughts, though, on how long this might continue for the Lakers. Again, 2 scheduled home games over Saturday and Monday period of time against San Antonio. They're up in the air right now. No definitive word yet of what's going to happen. We don't know how long this is going to be an issue. And obviously the concern, first and foremost, has to be with the people that are firstly affected by these fires.
Yes, Gerald. This is what it's called, an act of God. So it's basically out of everyone's control. So we're going to have to just hopefully things simmer down, the winds die down, and the fires are somewhat contained by next week. I think this is a day-by-day issue, honestly, until those winds are able to be predicted somewhat. But this, as you said, Gerald, this is just a cataclysmic event for the city of Los Angeles.
And with that, it is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break. It is Magic Man Sean Grice, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching this thing. Truly appreciate you joining us on such downer of a day where the Lakers and the Charlotte Hornets were postponed due to the tragic fires in Southern California. Again, if you are affected by these fires in any way, shape, or form, our thoughts and our prayers are with you. Danny obviously has been keeping in contact with us. We are still wishing the very best for you and your family, and hope you guys stay safe upon that. But anybody else that's been adversely affected, we've been trying to chat with in the email. Henry, who lives in that general area. I know Laker Nick. I have several others. Jamie Sweet, we're going to have to talk to him, reach out, make sure he's okay. But yes, absolutely just devastated to see what's going to go on. But Ali, yes, I hope everyone is safe. Don't worry about it. You can always rewind. We're still got, this will be up on the internet webs for as long as they can be. So you're welcome to go ahead and enjoy it at your own pace, at your own time. But Magic Man, any last thoughts before we head on out?
Yes, Gerald. Just praying for the city of Los Angeles and its inhabitants right now. It's really terrible to see the destruction. Families have been life-altering situation for families, and I'm just thinking about them. And homes can be replaced, but lives cannot. And as one human being watching others be horrified and seeing apocalyptic events, it's horrible.
Well, with that, of course, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is, of course, Sean Grice, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching us, and truly appreciate you doing so. Hopefully, we will hear better news tomorrow about not only the communities affected by this fire, but hopefully about a better situation for the Lakers. But if not, we will report it either which way. Please follow us at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. Please, if you can, support, or if you can give to some of the needy charities that are out there. I'll let you decide which ones there is. If you need help as far as it's concerned on which to turn to, I mean, I could go ahead and email me at lakersfastbreak@yahoo.com, and I could probably look up some articles or could get contact with some organizations that are directly being involved in this, like the American Red Cross, the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation Emergency Fund, Pasadena Humane Society, and Sacramento SPCA, because Pasadena has been adversely affected because the fires are still approaching that area near the Rose Bowl. Southern California Salvation Army, California Fire Foundation, the Convoy of Hope, and the California Community Foundation. You can also visit the California Fire Foundation website for more information as well. So those off the top of my head from what I was seeing here as far as listings for charities that if you wish to go ahead and contribute, that do help these victims and also the firefighters. Big shout out to the firefighters that are fighting this fire right now, and our strength and our hopes are with you as well. So stay safe, everyone. Stay blessed. And hopefully we will be back tomorrow to provide an update. Hopefully it'll be a better one. But for now, it's Magic Man Sean Grice and me, Gerald Glassford, thanking everyone for taking the time out of the day to listen to us and watch us. Big shout out to Legend, Mark, aka Xbox, and Joe Sora for stopping by as well, right here as part of a snack pack and the Lakers Fast Break podcast.